we haven't did nothing. The 2020 defense haven't did anything. We haven't even stepped on the field yet and passed. So that's all that we really need to say. We haven't did nothing on the field yet.
So there you see what Nakobe Dean had to say about Georgia's defense in 2020. This is a defense that led the country in rushing defense and scoring defense last year. They were not the leader in total defense, but they were pretty good. Pretty good defense for sure. Probably the best in the country. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. And I think the big thing about what Nakobe Dean just said there is that if that is actually the mindset of the defense, if that is the mindset of the program, then it's going to be tough to score on these guys. I mean, what is realistic and what is not in terms of points allowed a game? I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But what you got to worry about when you listen to guys talk, because having done this as long as I have, 20 years, that's 20 summers. And each summer you hear about what's changed and what's going to be better and all this stuff, and it just never happens. I mean, it's not true, or the kids think it's true. But what Nakobe is saying is, well, we don't know yet. We don't know. And, a lot of talk earlier this week from guys like Richard, well, not necessarily Richard LeCount, but from Azeez Ojulari is, there is no first team defense. Now, that could be because they've not formed it as a group yet or hadn't really practiced a lot. I mean, we're only a few days into fall practice right now. That a lot of this is coach speak, and it's something that I'm very wary of. Coach speak, though, does have the capability of making sure you don't get ahead of yourself. And that's what it seems like Georgia's defense is saying. Azeez also said earlier this week that the offense is going to be really good. Well, I mean, I think it is going to be better, but I don't know that they're going to be a lot better. I'm going to need to see it. With this defense, I'm going to give those guys the benefit of the doubt because I've seen what they can do. I mean, look at this group, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys that would really be great players at other teams if they were there. You look at Georgia's offense, the defensive line front with Malik, Devontae Wyatt, I mean, Trayvon Walker for sure. They've got guys. Let's just see how Jalen Carter gets into this thing. And then at linebacker, I don't see a first-round draft pick, but I see a lot of really steady players, particularly Monty Rice. I mean, Azeez is listed as an outside linebacker. He's a pass rusher. He could be he's a tweener. He's an outside guy. Azeez Ojulari as a linebacker, as well as Nolan Smith. I mean, Nolan Smith also is an outside guy. And these guys, I think the biggest thing about Georgia and their defense is they just don't do dumb stuff. You watch them play, and a guy like Nolan Smith blowing up a play against Texas A&M where A&M came with a reverse. Nolan didn't get sucked in on the reverse. He stood exactly where he was supposed to stand. He didn't even go so far up the line of scrimmage. He took about a step in, and he stopped, and he waited, and it blew up the play for Texas A&M. And I would say 97 times out of 100, that means that Nolan taking that step and being disciplined, that means he almost always would have to get in pursuit to make a tackle. In other words, the play's not coming to his side. But the 1, 2, or 3 times a year that it really does, you need to be there or it's going to cost your team. And he was there. And all these guys do that consistently. There's nothing wrong with running a play down in pursuit. That's what you're supposed to do. You're also supposed to play discipline and not get so far up the line, upfield so that they can run right past you or chip you right out of the way and let their quarterback run. These guys are disciplined. They do what they're supposed to do. They really, I mean, they are as good a defense. They have the potential to be one of the best defenses of this century. There have been some really good ones. Now, this century is only 20 years old. But you look at Alabama 2011, LSU 2011, they were good too. But old Kirby defenses, they were hard to score on. And these guys, you can barely move the ball on them. The games they lost last year, South Carolina, I mean, they gave up a touchdown, I think, in regulation. That was it. I mean, the other one was a touchdown, an interception for a touchdown, and then a field goal kick in overtime and a field goal kick in regulation. I mean, if you can't win with the other team scoring 10 points, there's something wrong with your offense. LSU, with certainly a generational offense last year, scored on Georgia. And that they were better, period. They were better than everybody. Perhaps the best team, maybe in the history of college football, LSU. We'll just see. But my point is that against everybody else that wasn't, breaking records, this Georgia defense was difficult to deal with. And I mean, I think LSU had the hardest time. I'd have to go back and look. I mean, LSU didn't exactly have a field day against Georgia either. They scored like what, 40 against everybody except a couple of teams, and Georgia was one of them. It was, but that happens because that happens because you know what you're doing and you're being disciplined and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Here is the rundown last year from Texas A&M's points: 65, 66, 42, 42, 36, 23 Auburn, who had a really good, 23 Auburn. They really had a very good defense. Mighty Alabama, 46. Mississippi, 58. Arkansas, 56. Texas A&M, 50. Georgia allowed 37. And then Oklahoma, 63. Clemson, 42. They could have scored 49. They knelt on the goal line. So as great as LSU was, everything changes out. As great as Georgia was, things don't change a lot for this defense. That's the part that, like Nakobe, Aziz, all these guys, that's what I would be concerned about if I were playing Georgia. They're nothing but trouble. You do not want to deal with them. You've got a really good quarterback. If they're dealing with Clemson, so Clemson's going to score, all right? You would think. They only scored 25 against LSU. Trevor did not play well. Trevor Lawrence could deal with Georgia. Justin could deal with Georgia. After that, there's not a lot of teams I see. Kyle Trask and the Gators, and they're going to have a lot on their hands to score against this defense that Georgia's rolling out there. And it's not, look, I think the mindset coming into this thing is the right way to be. We've not done anything yet. I get it. But that mindset might get them where they want to go at the end of the day. I know it's coach speak, and that's annoying. And I know it's the summer, and I just, you can only be told things are better so many times. In this case for Georgia, you don't have to have things better. You just need them to be the same or slightly better, not noticeably better. The offense, they need to be noticeably better. I mean, Georgia can't continue to win games where they're having to hold teams to 17 or 20 points. In this day and age, that's just going to be too hard to do. But, hey, this defense did that 11 times last year. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. All right, check out this playlist right here. It's a 2020 playlist that we're updating as we go. Dean Legge from Dog Post. We're going to see you over on that playlist. You're going to click it right now.